Hi everyone, it's Karen here with a new card tutorial using Concord & Nine's Hello Stamp and Die set featuring a bubble making technique for my backgrounds. Enjoy! As you can see, I had a lot of fun creating these cards and all these backgrounds. That's why there's so many of them, and I just really love this technique that I saw. It's not my technique, but it's something that I really wanted to try out and see if it worked. So I just grabbed all the materials that I needed for it and just went for it, and it really turned out nicely, and the bright colors made these cards so much fun. For this technique you will need some plastic cups. Any plastic cups will work, some hand soap or dish soap, a spray bottle or some water, some straws, some watercolor paper, and some cheap acrylic paints or any type of acrylic paint. You want the acrylic paint to be fluid. This one is actually from the dollar store because I just knew this would just work with it as well. And all you have to do first is pour each color into a different cup. So here I'm pouring the orange, then the pink, then the green and blue, and the yellow. I'm using different size cups for each color because the larger cups create the bigger bubbles while the smaller cups create the smaller bubbles. So it's a good idea to have different size cups for this project. The next step is to add some soap into each of the cups. You can use either hand soap or dish soap and just put a few squirts into each cup. The more soap you put, the more bubbles are going to be created, but you don't want to put too much. So 2 or 3 squirts are enough. And then you're going to take some water and put some water in the solution so everything mixes together. So I'm just using this bottle from my spray bottle because I just forgot to bring water with me, so that's the water I'm using. And then I'm just going to take a straw and just basically stir the solution together, one straw per cup. So I have one for each of the colors. Now all you do is you just blow bubbles into the cups. So at first I just started blowing bubbles. I wanted to see if it was creating enough of bubbles, if I had added enough soap. So I was just testing at first, and then I took out my papers. So each color should be added individually because the bubbles go down very quickly. So all you do is you blow bubbles into one of the cups. Then once the bubbles kind of reach the rim of the cup, you press the paper onto the actual cup, and it creates these really nice circular bubbles, and it has smaller bubbles inside because when the bubbles pop, they pop with color and create these beautiful bubbles. Here I am doing it again. It's hard to kind of show it in the camera, but I'm making smaller circles with the pink color, and I realized the pink one didn't have enough of a color, so I just added some more some more acrylic paint, and then started doing it. The higher you blow the bubbles, the better the circle becomes. So as you saw, I added some more soap and some more acrylic pink paint, and then started blowing, and the bubbles turned out a little bit better because it all depends on the consistency of the paint and the soap, and I wasn't measuring, I was just doing it just to test out for fun. But I really love how I was creating these amazing bubbles on my paper, and I like how some of them were smaller and some of them were bigger, and it just helped to create these really cool effects in the background. The next color I took was the blue, and I took a new paper for this one and started creating blue bubbles, and I just had to mix it a little bit better and then blow again. And I had to experiment to kind of get the hang of it on when it would create the stronger bubbles and when it would create lighter bubbles. So it was just playing around and adding more paint and just seeing how it was coming along. So it's a lot of trial and error, but it does work at the end. As you can see now, the bubbles are more colorful and they create a better mark when I press on the paper. It's a good idea to overlap the bubbles on each other so they create these really nice marks and blend together with the other colors. So once I got my blue bubbles done in this paper, I went with the green bubbles, and this is a smaller container, so it created some smaller green bubbles, and I really like the combination of this lime green and the turquoise color. That was my favorite combination for the background, and I just continued creating and adding it in the empty areas of the paper so it would look really uniform. I continued with the yellow color and continue making more backgrounds and mixing the colors around, and I had so much fun. I created so many backgrounds that day afternoon I still had a lot of paint left over, so I did a really fun activity with my daughter, and I took these bubble cups down and we created some more cards. So I made her actually sit there and do it, and we created a lot more cards. That's why you see so many cards that I created with the pictures, because I had made only like a few of them in the video, and then that afternoon we made a bunch more while we were playing and blowing bubbles. So it was a really fun activity. It's a really fun activity not only for adults but also for kids, and it's a really great craft activity to do and just create these amazing backgrounds. The cool thing about this technique is that some of the smaller bubbles still remain on the paper, and after they pop, they create the smaller little rings on top of the bigger rings, and they all blend together on the paper. You can also use the cups, the bottoms that are leaking, to kind of stamp on top of the papers, but that's just an extra little tip that you can do. But the nice technique here is with the bubbles themselves. A very good tip that you need to know is that you should be careful where you put your straw, so you don't end up putting the side with the paint inside your mouth, because so much paint goes on the mat that the straws kind of get dirty on both sides, and I had to constantly look to make sure that I wasn't putting the actual painted side into my mouth. Finally, after I finished doing all the demonstrations for this video, I moved all the cups away, and there were so many nice stains on my mat, some drips and some circular stains, that I thought it would be perfect to create a card just with those. So I took a paper and basically just pressed it on my mat to create another type of background. This just used the leftover of all the drips, and it created these really pretty backgrounds, and I was able to basically clean up my mat without having to wipe it off. This is the Ken Oliver mat, and I really love it. It's a large mat that covers my whole table, and although it's really easy to clean with a wipe, I just really thought this was a good technique to clean it up without having to use the wipe. So here I am displaying all the background cards that I created during my experiment. And then I have the ones I created with my daughter later on in the afternoon, and those turned out a lot darker because I just added a lot more bubbles because I really wanted to make the color really intense. So now it was time to have fun with creating the actual card, and I'm just going to demonstrate how I made just the one card. I'm using the Say Hello die cut from Concord and 9th, which comes with the dies and the stamp, and you can buy it separately or as a set. And what I'm doing, because these cards are not exactly 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, what I'm doing is I'm using the die to kind of cut right in the middle of the card to create 2 panels that I'm going to later on glue onto another card or to a base. The dies come with 2 pieces, one that cut out a really large hello, and then that cuts out a really thin one that can go inside. So what I did is I took 2 separate papers and I matched up all the colors. So the blues and the greens matched up with another blue-green paper, and the splattered paper with another splattered paper, and so forth. And what I did is I cut the hello, the thin hello, in the middle of one of the papers and kept all the little pieces because that hello was supposed to be used in the other one that I had cut the 2 panels for. So I don't know if it makes sense, but I could get 2 cards out of the dies. Unfortunately, the one that I cut that created the 2 panels, that hello was cut not fully because the panel wasn't big enough, so I did have to throw out those papers. But if you made the panel big enough and then trimmed it, you could get even a 3rd card out of it with the hello. So once I cut all the hellos from both dies, I started matching it up. So as you can see here, I'm gluing one panel and then the other on a white card base, and then the thin hello goes in the middle and it kind of sticks out on the side. Then I'm just using a tape runner to just glue everything, and I'm just going inside the little areas to make sure that everything is nicely glued together. I'm doing the same thing on the other side, and just to make sure before you glue everything that you measure out to make sure that the paper doesn't stick out from the base, because it will be a little bit bigger because you're leaving that space in the middle to put the hello for. Now for the hello itself, I use this really cool glue called Art Glitter. I really love this one because it has a really thin spout and it can actually it's easily placed on any thin kind of die, and you can just glue and it dries clear, and it's really helpful for these type of really intricate designs. So here I am just gluing the hello in the middle. So, and this is a trick that a nice card. This is not my idea. This is an idea that Jennifer McGuire actually came up with, of doing the hello this way. I saw it in one of her videos, so I am giving her credit because it's not my idea, but I just thought it was perfect for this bubble card because I really did wanted to keep these bubble cards extremely simple, so I could just focus on the nice background, the bubble background. So for this card, I took a nice lime green cardstock and cut it a little bit smaller than my actual base to put in the background, and then I took the leftover back of the hello and glued it also onto the green cardstock. Make sure that you keep all those little pieces from inside the hello that you cut out, because those need to be glued inside the centers to make sure that it's fully formed, the hello is fully formed. So here I am placing them, all the little dies that came out. So make sure you keep them, and you keep them with the correct card. I wanted to make sure that my card will fit into an envelope, so I just trimmed the edges of the hello with some scissors. And then I took the hello stamp set that has a lot of sentiment, and I took this one stamp that says friend, and using my Fisker stamps tool, stamp platform, I stamped it with some distress embossing ink and then embossed it with black embossing powder. I did the same thing with the other card, but just embossed it in a different space to make the card look more balanced. Then I heat set both embossed areas with my heat tool, and I was done. I actually, you can see I matched these two cards in terms of colors, and what I did is off screen I just finished all the other cards and matched them and stamped them with different sentiments like birthday girl or hello baby, and I made sure all the cards kind of matched in terms of colors so I could use the hello and make it fit into different areas. I also used some cardstock to add some 3D effect to some of the cards like the one you just saw, and I'll use some pink cardstock underneath some of the hellos, so I was able to do different things. And for this last one I actually used the large dies, and they actually come with a really nice frame around them, so I was able to make two cards, and for this last one I stamped a big hello inside of it. So here are all my cards displayed, and I just really had fun creating these bubble backgrounds, but also this Concord and 9th hello stamp and die set are just amazing. I'm really impressed with not only the quality but how beautiful the cards turned out, and they're perfect to give away for any type of occasion. So I really love them, and I love the idea and the effect of these simple cards that are so bright and beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. For more inspiration, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my video. Please share it with your friends. Thanks so much. Bye!